Right now, we're going to be taking a little look at some of the features that will be included in the longevity toolkit. We're also going to talk a little bit about some of the methods that it uses to encrypt your files and the ways that it bypasses certain antiviruses. Now looking at the main screen, we have some of your basic options. You can choose your encryption key as well as you can randomize it, but really encryption keys don't matter. Some other crypters have really fancy looking encryption keys, but the encryption keys are never what gets detected. You also have options to choose icons if you'd like. You can use the default one that's built in, or you can select your own personal one. Below that, we have a file binder. It's a unique custom coded file binder, so it's not a source that's public out there. And one of the great things about this binder that's different from most other crypters binders is the way that it executes the file. It doesn't do any drops to disk, as well as the most important thing is it doesn't add any detections at all. So if you bind a file, you're not going to get any more or any less detections than if you didn't bind a file, which is a great thing. The entire program is really modularized and plugin system based. So the great thing about it is the way the USG system works is the features that you choose are the plugins that it installs in the final file. So if you don't choose a feature, it's not going to be included in the stub in the final stub, which allows you to really customize. Each user gets to really customize what their final output is. The other thing is, since the USG system is all automatic, really anytime you click encrypt, every file that you make is going to be around somewhere between 95 to 97% different. So it's a really good feature that it's going to really be able to customize your final files and be able to extend that FUD time. Now looking over back to the features to the left, we have our mods. Some of the mods that we have is the Activate Longevity Persistence. And if you don't know what any of these are, you can just put your mouse over and it'll tell you what it does. Now the Activate Longevity Persistence will be a second module or second application that will be installed on your slave's computer, and it will prevent your original server from ever being closed, ever being deleted, ever having its registry keys removed. So it's really persistent. Once again, custom coded, private, non-public sources. It never adds any detections to your final file, whether it's runtime or scan time. Looking over to the right of that, it's force run as admin. If you have certain bots, certain programs that require admin access, you can choose it if you need it. Below that, apply mono Cecil. Now, what this really does is just beefs up the USG, and the USG is a unique stub generator. Once again, every time you click encrypt, it makes a new stub for you, totally unique, and puts the new stuff in it. Now, with mono Cecil, this just really enables it to beef up that USG system in basic terms. Below that, we have a melt file on execution. If you want your file to basically, when the slave runs it, it will delete itself, install somewhere else, and vanish. Some people like it. Personally, I think it's maybe a little bit of a suspicious option, but you can choose it if you'd like. To the left of that, we have prevent application sandboxing. Pretty much what it says. It tries to prevent your program from being run in, say, Avis Sandbox or Sandboxy or some virtual machines. It'll just display a message to the user and tell them to run the program normally, as there's not very many good ways to really bypass certain virtualizations or sandboxes. Above that is the exploit kit compatibility mode. Really all this is if you are having issues, which you shouldn't, if you are having issues with certain crimeware kits or botnets that are hard to support, you can choose that and it will try to add some stability to it. I would recommend leaving it off though unless you want to use it. In the startup menu, you can choose a basic startup name if you want. What this will do is when they run your file, it will install itself somewhere else under this name. So if you name it Hackforms, it will install itself as hackforms.exe somewhere else on the computer. Below that, we have some advanced installations. You can use them if you want to, but you don't have to. You can use an ActiveX installation. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. You can also do a task scheduler exploit or a task scheduler startup, which will make sure your file starts up through the task scheduler. Now below that, it's a delay execution. You can enable that if you want. So if you want your file to run 10 seconds after the user clicks it, you can do that, or you can put 100 seconds if you want, or 1100 in that case. Looking to the right of that, you do not need to choose this option as it's set by default, but if you'd like to customize your installation, you can. You can choose where it installs onto the computer, the Documents folder, System, or Windows for, like a stealth installation. Below that, you can choose the install type, which really all this does is possibly bypass certain runtime detections like Norton sonar. If you're having problems, you can try switching it. The default is command installation. If you don't know what this means, it installs by command prompt, or it installs by task scheduler, or it installs by a Win service. You don't have to choose them. Once again, it's all set by default. Below that, you can also make the file hidden system archive read-only if you'd like. Under assembly, you can, once again, very simple stuff. You can type in what you want for your information on the file. You can randomize it. I always recommend randomizing it, as it's the best way to make sure your file's FUD. Under appends, if you're an advanced user and you want to mess around and really just, once again, customize your final file in this toolkit, you can if you'd like. You can add certain junk codes to it. If you have VB scripts that you would like to be compiled and ran, on the slave's computer, and you have the source code for the script, you can put it in there and it'll run your VB script. If you have problems maybe with getting some detections, if there hasn't been an update to the CRYPTER recently and you're trying to remove maybe 1 or 2 detections, you can use fake API, maybe crank that up, and it'll maybe remove 1 or 2 detections possibly. Under message box, very simple stuff. You can enter in a message, it'll display it to the user, and it'll look like that when they run your file. Under extras, we have options to file pump to make your file bigger. Once again, it's a custom, unique type of file pumper. If you understand some of the specifics about it, it doesn't use, say, zeros and end it to the file. It makes its own resource. I don't want to get it too complicated, but it makes its own resource, and it adds its weight to the file in that manner. Below that, we have an extension spoofer. You can choose a file, enter it in there, choose an extension, spoof it, and it'll make your file appear to be another file, say JPEG or movie or doc. Beside that, we have a keylogger. You can go into that, you can check it out. There's some options in there that it'll install its own customized keylogger. You can put in your email, it'll send logs. You can choose the amount of time that you want it to send logs. Below that's a web downloader if you'd like. This will enable you to, say, enter in a file and you can get it to be run every time the person runs the program, or you can choose an updater only. And now, an updater only is very, very unique to this program. I haven't seen this yet. Now, basically what this does is, instead of going through Dark Comet and manually updating every slave, you can enter in the actual file here. It'll download it and run it at runtime and reinstall the whole application. So it's a great updater system. All you have to do is, say, put your file on Dropbox, and if all your slaves have the updater on, it will automatically update them all with your new FUD server, so you don't have to do it yourself. You can choose that if you'd like. And also there's a scanner at the end if you'd like to use the element scanner built in, and that comes free with it as well. Now, the final things that I just want to say about it is, this program, a lot of the code that makes it unique is hidden to the user. This is only the GUI. The stubs are very, very unique. They're totally custom coded from the ground up, totally scratch, very plug-in based system, and the main things that it's worrying about is stability and execution rates. They're probably the most important parts of the stubs. It has a lot of error handling. It has auto injection, so if it fails on a certain injection, it'll try to re-inject into a different program. And that happens with a lot of crypters. You see people complaining about the program not running on certain computers. This will try to handle that. It will detect when there's problems and try to fix itself. And it's not just doing this in a very basic manner, it's doing it in a very advanced manner. So I believe anybody that uses this program will be really, really happy with the results, really happy with the execution rates, really happy with the stability, like I said, trying to keep your slaves alive and never drop one. So this has been it for the quick preview. It's actually been 9 minutes, so not a very quick preview, but I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Jerome Marshall.